Are we live?
We appear to be live. There's a bit of liveage going on.
There's a bit of liveage going on. Is there anyone out there? Can you let us know if we're broadcasting? There's Andrew. Faithful as ever. Where would we be without Andrew Slesser?
Where indeed? Well, nowhere would be the answer to that.
Yeah, exactly. Hello.
Hello.
This will surely be an interesting debate. Did you have a listen, or did you already know the album, Andrew?
No, I didn't know the album at all. Obviously, I know David Sylvian.
Yeah. Don't say too much though, because we've got the big reveal coming up.
Yeah, so I didn't know the album at all. And obviously, I know of Robert Fripp. Did you know that Robert Fripp lives? Obviously, you know he lives with Toyah. They live next door but one to Tim's mum.
My goodness.
And Tim went in Pershore in Warwickshire, and Tim's mum, and I think Tim and Julie, his partner, went to a concert at the local village hall, and Toyah and Robert were there, and they bought 3 seats because Robert Fripp doesn't like to sit next to anybody. So Toyah sat next to Tim's mum, and then Robert sat next to her, and then there was an empty seat which had his bag on, and then someone else down there.
The musical academic professor, eccentric chap that he is.
Yeah. So I was going to say strange, not strange. Different kind of character.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is, for those who've maybe never been with us before, although it seems we've got our core crew back, which is lovely. Good to see you, John. Good to see you, Matt and Andrew. Are they being silly when they're saying they can't see you and no, you're not? Does that mean that we were live and now we're not, or are they just winding us up?
Let me have a look.
I mean, this is that album. I'm just going to have a little check too. Yeah, we're all right, aren't we?
We are live. Yeah,
you're there, mate. You're there. This is that album, our weekly show, which has actually become a fortnightly show this week because I was away seeing Duran in Inverness, but that's for another story.
Yeah, okay. We won't talk about that if that's all right.
Yeah, absolutely, because we take up an hour chatting about how it was. So this is that album, our weekly show, where one of us, on alternative weeks, one of us suggests an album for us to go away and get right inside and dissect it. It might be an album that's extremely well known, perhaps lesser known. It might have been a mega seller, or it might be a bit underground. And this is our what show? 30-something?
35th, something like that. We've done a lot of these.
35 albums from ELO to we've done Fleetwood Mac, we've done Duran, we've done Lenny Kravitz, we've done what else have we done?
Stop Making Sense. We've done Fine Young Cannibals. We've done George Michael. 2 George Michael albums actually. 2 Joni Mitchell albums.
2 Joni Mitchell albums.
We've had this. We've gone from the earliest album, I think, was either Blue or Rumours, and the latest album was Wet Leg. That was,
weeks old.
Yeah,
weeks old. Yeah, absolutely. So last week, which was 2 weeks ago, I suggested that we do this Damage by David Sylvian of Japan fame and other things. Now, a very successful avant-garde solo artist. If you count successful as 2 people listen to his albums. And Robert Fripp, the god of prog rock music, one of the founding members of King Crimson. He created the League of Crafty Guitarists. He created a guitar school called Guitar Craft. The eccentric professor style Needed Rick Astley album, of course. So I was a King Crimson fan, a huge Robert Fripp, Brian Eno fan. I was a Sylvian fan in Japan. How excited was I when I heard that Robert Fripp and David Sylvian were coming together to make an album called The First Day. And they made the album called The First Day, and then they took it out on tour, and the tour was called the Road to Graceland Tour. Robert Fripp brought his mates along, who also played on the First Day album, Trey Gunn, Pat Mastelotto, and Michael Brook, the guy that invented the
Chapman Steak.
Infinite Guitar. No, he invented the Infinite Guitar,
right.
Michael Brook. His own special software, and he actually built. He's got the only infinite guitar in the world. And then the Edge said, "Can you make me one?" And someone else said, "Can you make me one?" He's made 3 of them now. And
that's not really infinite, is it? Let's be honest. If there's 3,
it's not really infinite. No, not at all. So they took the idea of The First Day and said, let's go out on tour, but let's do something really special. Let's do some of my older work. So it's all Sylvian's work. And and there's a little treat in there for the Uber fans, which we'll talk about in a second. And they went out on tour in about 93, crossed into 94. It was the Road to Graceland tour. They recorded this one, which is the Damage album, at the Royal Albert Hall in 1993. I saw the tour in January 94 in Glasgow at the Royal Concert Hall. Oh, I floated into that beautiful building, floated in there and sat down and was just washed by what, in my view, is Michelin star music, with Michelin star, unparalleled musicians in their fields that are inventive and creative and pushing back boundaries. So we've got on this album and on this live performance, we've got Trey Gunn on Chapman stick, and on the other thing that he uses, that enormous what's it called? I think I've got it here. It's the wah guitar, the massive thing that's like a big massive bass guitar, but it's got a huge fretboard and like 30 strings, and he plays it all on it's just incredible.
It's a harp, isn't it?
It's a harp, yeah, absolutely. David Sylvian, who it was such a pleasure to see playing a little Steinberger black electric guitar throughout the whole concert when he wasn't on the piano. Pat Mastelotto, the inventive, creative drummer, and Sir Robert Fripp, sitting there in a Japanese kimono on his stool, surrounded by all the Frippertronics and all of that. It was epic. The show started with 45 minutes of Michael Brook as a support act. Michael Brook, I'm going to recommend an album now, Cobalt Blue by Michael Brook, if you're into guitars. It's such a lovely thing. And he came out Canadian and said, hi, Glasgow, you don't know me. My name's Michael Brook. Finished his set, had the place in raptures, and someone shouted, well, we certainly know you now, Michael. And then the stage was set for this amazing performance, which we're going to listen to today. But the first question is, having sat with this and dissected it and babysat this for 2 weeks, the big question is, Adam, is it a wave or a gone to earth?
It's a half and half. So I would go as far as to say that I did enjoy listening to it. It's a very listenable album. It's very well produced. There's some interesting stuff there. So I'll come from the position of Fripp. Not particular. I mean, obviously familiar with him and heard him, but not particularly familiar with him. I was incredibly impressed getting into this album with his playing, because he has a phenomenal technical facility on the instrument, but he doesn't need to show it off all the time. So
I agree.
I find that a joy.
Overbearing.
Yeah, and you know, somebody that's really good doing something really simple really well, like his slide guitar, just absolutely faultless, just outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. So really impressed at that. You know, having a bit of a dig into Robert Fripp, you know, worked with Bowie, with Blondie, with Eno, with Peter Gabriel, Daryl Hall, Midge Ure, Andy Summers, Talking Heads. You know, it's like a roll call of people throughout his career that have engaged with him and just gone, we need to get you on
our record. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely outstanding. So he's an innovator. You know, so many different sounds coming out of the instruments, you know, so he's got a bit of that edge thing going on where, you know, he takes something very simple and uses the electronics and the effects to reshape that in a fresh and innovative way. Brilliant. The breadth of sounds he produces, absolutely outstanding. And Sylvian, he's got a soothing voice. But and you know, we did Brilliant Trees. That was pretty good. Gone to Earth, I love, is a great album. But he's a bit of a one-trick pony. You know, he's I don't see him as an innovator. I think that this is not like where with some artists, so you might hold up maybe
David Byrne,
Lenny Kravitz. No, I was thinking with some artists that they've got a very strong, very distinctive style. But they innovate within that style. So, you know, a period of Madonna's life, for example, or a period of Joni Mitchell's life, where you go, Hajira as an album, you know, clearly it's Joni Mitchell, but every song is very different. That's not the case with Sylvian.
I think what happens from now on is David Sylvian from this album becomes an innovator and actually abandons all the things. So his later works after this are almost for me unlistenable too, because he's so innovative and experimental.
Right. Okay.
He abandons the. I had a debate with David Sylvian on Facebook, which loads of people started piling into because he had a Facebook page and never commented on it or wrote. And I wrote something. Come on, David, can you not give us something for the fans? Because this stuff, you know, you reciting an obscure bit of poetry while someone's tapping a bottle to no rhythm in the background is not exactly, you know, can you not do something for the Japan fans? Give us a bit of Quiet Life or something like that. And he came back on and he said, with his official account, and started for an hour. I was sweating because he was getting into his view of the artist and how they have abandoned musicality, have abandoned rhythm, traditional rhythmic structures. And I asked him the question. I was like, is there none of the fans and what we mean to you? Is that not important? And he said, unfortunately not anymore. I've transcended to a space now where I make my art and I don't care if anyone listens to it. I make my thing. And people are like, "Oh my God!"
So I said in my notes that I was writing about this. I said I suspect that Sylvian is unbearably pompous.
Oh yes,
and I find that very, very much a turnoff. You know,
right.
There are some people where when you engage with them, you know, you meet them after the event, and they're real people. You know, or you engage with them online, or you see how they engage with their fans, and you just think, oh, yeah, you're I like you. I don't get that about him. I think that he thinks he is lofty and above everybody else, and I find that, you know, he may or may not be talented. You know, obviously any art form is a very subjective thing, and you know what you love, I hate, and vice versa. And that's perfectly okay, but you know, the people that extend him the freedom to be able to recite poetry whilst tapping a bottle are people like you that buy his albums, and actually he therefore owes you a certain respect off the back of that.
I think so. Yeah.
And I think that the arrogance that the man displays is quite.
Yeah, it is a bit of a turn off, but he's still a hero. He is an innovator, and he is fantastic. And we'll discuss that in a second.
1993, this came out.
Have you got some facts and figures?
I have got some interesting things about 1993. So 1993, Diana announced that she wanted to divorce the Prince of Wales.
Wow.
British Airways' Dirty Tricks campaign against Virgin. The interest rate was lowered to 6%. Lowered to 6%. Gives you, we're in a different place now. The lowest it had been since 1978 at that point. Jamie Bolger was murdered. Unemployment reached 3 million. The Bishopsgate bombing in London. And perhaps the high point, well, maybe not the high point, the Ford Mondeo was launched. No, see, that's not the high point, is it? And births that year, Max Whitlock, Jodie Comer, Stormzy, Harry Kane, Bobby Moore and Les Dawson died. And other music in the charts, Nirvana, In Utero, Snoop Dogg, Doggy Style, Bjork debut, Suede, Lenny Kravitz, Are You Gonna Go My Way, Blur, Modern Is Rubbish, Duran Duran, known as The Wedding, obviously.
The brilliant album, love it.
A fantastic album. And I know an all-time favourite of yours, R. Kelly, was there with 12 Play. I'm kind of joking. Yeah. Moving swiftly on. Yes, so an interesting year for stuff. The world was a very different place back in 1993.
Yeah, very much so. My goodness me. Hasn't the world moved on significantly? And look at the mess we found ourselves in today, but let's not go there.
Let's not. So this album, have you got some? And you never thought you'd live to hear me ask this. Have you got some facts and figures about this album?
I do. This is a live recording of David Sylvian and Robert Fripp. I don't know why it was Sylvian and Fripp, and they never just made a band name, because they actually took this on tour. And I think leaving Trey Gunn and Pat and Michael out of it was strange, because on stage they were as active and part of all this as anyone else. But Sylvian and Fripp are the big headlines, right, for the fans. This was a mixture of tracks from Gone to Earth, tracks from the first day, and also a little sweetie treat that actually blew the fans away. They play a Rain Tree Crow song. The Raintree are the reincarnation of Japan, that Japan came back in 1991 after a 6-year separation and made one album under the title Raintree Crow. No advertising, nothing. It just came out. And then suddenly the NME got a hold of it and they were like, this is Sylvian, Karn, Jansen, and Barbieri back together as Japan, but called Raintree Crow. So the song Every Color You Are is from the Raintree Crow album. And there's a little story about that in a second.
I think we might have a technical problem going on here.
Ooh.
It looked like the stream had frozen, but it looks like it's operational again now.
Let me just have a wee look. Let's play some the girl from Ipanema while we check. We're still live and chatting on your page.
Yeah. Yeah.
Strange.
Yeah. Okay. So
the album was originally mixed by Fripp. It was first released in 1994 as a limited edition box set. It was remixed by Sylvian and re-released in the standard jewel case packaging with different artwork in September of 2001. It's got Sylvian, Fripp, Trey Gunn, Michael Brook, Pat Mostolotto, and there's people that are listed as staff, which is quite staff. A bunch of people at the kind of top of their game in the jazz space, in the rock space, and it's just a little bit of joy. Quick word on Sylvian being a bit of an arse and up himself. He came out with his face like Fizz. He walked out. Glasgow stood on its feet. He hadn't performed in Glasgow since the early 80s with Japan. And Glasgow lost their minds for him, right? It was a seated concert in a beautiful concert hall. They played the opener, God's Monkey. And when he walked up to start Brightness Falls, the second track, someone shouted in a very Glaswegian accent, "It's good to see you back, David!" He was furious. Absolutely furious. He stopped, he took a step back, he took a breath, and he turned around, never said a word, never said, "This is Brightness Falls." The only thing he said, which wasn't part of the lyric to a song, was at the very end, "Thank you." No interaction, nothing, and was raging at the little bit of chat from the Glaswegian. But they came out, walked on stage, and launched into God's Monkey. Watching Trey Gunn slide down that Chapman stick. Wait for David.
One push, falling, falling darkness, built in shame, burning, fill the silence, and sorrow.
My wife cannot stand David Sylvian's voice. Cannot stand it.
It is a bit. Yeah.
God's Monkey.
I thought what's really interesting in this is the sound that we get from the guitars.
Yeah.
It's got that very 80s synthesized sound, like a cross between a stylophone, and I don't mean this in a negative way, like a stylophone and one of those kind of like a Moroccan sort of oboe type sound.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Good spot. Big Brian Ferry fan was David. So quite a funky funky start, and I was like, how's this going to go down? I knew the track God's Monkey, but I thought, I don't know what they're going to play. But they started with this, and it's quite funky.
Yeah.
You know, it's got quite funky, kind of like chic style guitaring going on with all the soaring synths and all that. And I thought it was a great start because it started with such a little bit of playfulness as well, because it's quite a playful song. It's not one of the sort of deeply morose, serious ones. It's quite playful for them.
Yeah, I think it depends on your frame of reference, doesn't it? You know, it's a little bit nonsensy, isn't it? You know, as a lot of his lyrics are. You know, kind of poetic and a bit abstract. Find the ladder, climb the ladder to God's monkey. You know, it's like, what does that actually mean?
What does that actually mean? But always have to have meaning to our lyrics, and then sometimes there is a bit of beauty in the abstract, right? But you're right; it's not the most of lyrics, but that tells me that we're just having a bit of fun with this. It was quickly written, I guess, and they just put it together and allowed themselves to show their sort of musicianship a little bit. This is one thing you do get with if you're going to invite half of King Crimson along to be your support band. Be prepared for the 18-minute instrumental in the middle.
Yeah, it kind of goes off on a bit of a journey, doesn't it?
Yeah, and they'll quite have. I mean, for any King Crimson fans out there, you know that dun 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 dun, dun very King Crimson-y. And King Crimson will do that for 20 minutes before Adrian Bellew starts singing. They're quite happy in just repeating, and building layers and stuff like that. So it was always a worry that this was going to become a sort of prog rock drama. But not a bad start, I thought. Quite nice. That's track number 1. And then we're into Brightness Falls.
Oh, do you mean Foxy Lady?
So it is, yeah. You know you're a cute little heartbreaker.
Exactly. Well, it's more sort of bit of Wayne's World going on here.
Yeah, Wayne's World.
Interesting that this is obviously how the vocal, both how he delivers it and the melody of the vocal, is very jazz inspired, isn't it?
Very, very. Yeah, I think we've got a little bit of a glitch in the chat, but stay with us, folks. Stay with us, folks.
Yeah, and with the sound as well.
And with the sound too?
Yeah, I think Restream is creaking at the seams today.
All right. It's because we've got 600,000 watchers watching this show. Word's got out, you know what I mean?
Well, I think the numbers have tailed off then, haven't they? If there's only 600,000.
So Brightness Falls is a bit of a prog rock jazzy.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed the guitar solos in this. I think for me, this is one of the best songs on the album.
It's a topper. It's a topper.
Yeah, really enjoyed it.
But it's funny because David Sylvian used to do 3-minute tracks, brilliant tops. He hooks up with his mates from King Crimson, 6 minutes 39 for the first song, 6 minutes 29 for the next one. So they're like, Can we just do like a 3-minute solo? Can we just do that? Is that okay? Oh God, okay, Robert. Crack on and do your thing.
But actually, you know, I mean, I think that sort of thing works better in the live environment than it does in the recorded environment. But actually, there's something quite charming about that, isn't there? When people explore themes, and you know, when you go, oh, well, 6 minutes is really long for a track. Well, it isn't really. Look at a Tchaikovsky symphony. You know, 20 minutes on a single track. You know, it's kind of, it's okay. if you've got something to say, you should be allowed to say it. And I think that this is a good example of a song that, although, you know, I'm not a fan of this album, I thought this is the sort of thing that I would listen to again.
Very good, very good. That track leads into none of the fans could believe it. We're all sitting there. Most of the people in that room had either, like I would say 95% of the people in there were Japan fans. 5% were King Crimson, Robert Fripp fans, right? So all of a sudden, we hear something that just pricks up our ears. Now, remember, Japan had split up in the early 80s. They hadn't spoken to each other. They'd fallen out because David was too controlling and wouldn't let Mick play his bass. And Mick was becoming a superstar and doing solo interviews about his bass technique. So was Steve and all of that. And David was like, it's my band. It's my band. I'm David. I'm the most beautiful man in the world. And so they meet up and they're like, do you want to put the band back together? They make this wonderful album in over 89 and 90, and it comes out in 91. Rain Tree Crow. It is phenomenal. You sit there and it's like, what if Japan? So Mick writes in the book Japan and Self-Existence, which I have back there. We came together. It was a little bit awkward for a while. We got in the room, we sat down, and I said, well, I've got some ideas, and I'll tell you what, I'll dial the bass down, right? So for the whole album, you don't really get you don't get all that. It's very, very, very subtle album. The tracks on it are beautiful. Sarah actually loves that album. One of the best tracks on the album is a track called Every Color You Are, which has got a very haunting start. So the fans are sitting there, knowing that he's denounced all of Rain Tree Crow in Japan, and he starts to play the opening lines to Every Color You Are. Just a little bit of a side note on the album. Mick said we were all feeling really positive because we sat down and we said, right, listen, let's reinvent Japan. Let's come back and be a bit more accessible because we were getting a bit abstract with the end of Tin Drum and Oil and Canvas and all of that. Let's be a little bit more accessible and let's produce a beautiful piece of work, which is gorgeous. Yeah, absolutely. So let's look upon this as the first stage of a project. So they actually sat down and spoke about releasing 3 albums under Rain Tree Crow. David said he would stop being so controlling and would let them do their thing. They recorded the album, agreed to be best mates, went away, and David went into the studio on his own and remixed everything and re-engineered all them down and changed it all and never told them. Mick said, I am done with you.
Yeah.
I am done with you. So we're sitting there in the concert hall and this happens.
So I thought the opening of this really reminded me a lot of Amelia, Joni Mitchell from her.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And I thought that you said about pricking up your ears. So this comes on, and I thought that, you know, the texture of this and the mix of this, I thought, oh, I like what's going on here. But then, sadly, once it gets going, it's like all the other Sylvian songs. You know, it falls into and his writing for this is very formulaic. And the point that it isn't formulaic is the point that it's where Fripp takes over, or one of the other musicians takes over. Yeah. And then they go on a bit of a detour and you go, I like what's going on there.
That's pretty good. Yeah, pretty experimental and interesting what they're doing. I was so affected by this particular track when I heard it. There's a line, a family man with patience tried, put a torch to his home and warmed his hands by the fire. No greed, no desire. That, for some reason, span around in my head for years.
Powerful stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so much so I named a painting after it. I was going to go and find it, but I never had time. So I made a piece of work and called it A Family Man with Patience Tried.
Oh, right.
So that had such an effect on me. So we're sitting in the concert hall and he walks up with his little Steinberger, the little black rectangle guitar, and plays this. No one can believe it. That's why there's a round of applause. Because everybody's like, oh my God, they're doing Japan. Or a version of it. This is like silk dipped in honey for me, especially when the instruments come in. Hi, Tara. Around the audience, everyone's smiling and looking at each other going,
yeah, we're liking this.
We're liking this.
Joke's gone too far. You can do anything you want. Every color you want.
I love everything about this song. I love everything about it. I know it doesn't work for a lot of people. Sarah's like, his voice just, why does it have to be him? Why does it have to be? I think this
I've always liked Sarah. Always liked her.
Just a little side note for anyone who knows Sarah. Sarah is currently pacing up and down in the house, trying not to scream whilst watching Nori Djokovic, which is ongoing right now. If anyone knows the score, can you let me know? Because I was having a look. Nori had broken him twice, but then Djokovic had come back and broken him. And Sarah is tennis. When Wimbledon's on, that's it. She's wearing purple and green. She's running around, and she gets so involved in the game. So she's freaking out next door. I can actually hear her. No! Yes! Yeah! That's it! Get the point! Yeah, absolutely. She's going crazy. Nice to see you, Tara. That means our chat's working some way.
Yeah.
In some way. So that is Every Colour You Are. I'm just going to give you a bit more of it because he sings that beautiful lyric when he comes back. Oh! That's a shout. That's a shout.
Or George Michael.
Yeah. Here it is. Here it is. This seed just got in my head. I love the fact that it just goes down to this minimalist family man.
Family man, his patience tried, put a touch to his own. His hands by the fire, no greed, no desire. My rose
That's a little, we pick out those little motifs that people use. David's always got a road uncrossed.
Right. A road uncrossed in a quiet cafe, waiting on a lonely station.
Waiting in a lonely
At
station.
midnight.
And I was searching.
It's searching
Always searching.
For a road to cross.
A road to cross in a sad cafe.
Outside a sad cafe. Yeah.
So, little secret, I'll let you into it. In the spirit of authenticity, come close. One of my great, and this has come to me later in life. I've always been a shower guy, right? I've always been a shower guy. I love a bath, but not to cleanse. I love a bath. So most nights I'll go up to soak,
to just veg. Yeah,
soak, listen to music. I'll maybe have a glass of wine, and I will sit there. And now it's become a standing joke.
Do you do scented candles as well?
Scented. I do the whole Chandler thing. Scented candles. CBD bath crystals. I sit there and I'll soak for about an hour, maybe watch something on Netflix. I'll maybe just sit there. But my son now thinks this is hilarious. He's like, "Have you got your scented candles?" I'm like, "Yes, I do, actually."
Then I lie face down on the bed and Sarah comes and puts hot stones on my back.
Ooh, that would be quite cool. Absolutely. So that was a treat for the fans. That was Every Colour You Are. We couldn't believe it. He'd actually tugged his forelock to the past, which he'd never done because he denounced Japan. He denounced it all. Bittersweet because we always wanted to hear where Rain Tree Crow were going, and that is a wonderful album. But of course, he was. You guys are killing me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no holes barred here. Absolutely not. Then they lift the mood completely.
Right. So this, I would say, seldom have I listened to such an annoying song as this, and I'm loath not to turn the volume off for this because this has got the catchiest melody that I've heard in a long time. And I found myself walking around the house humming this thing, and I couldn't remember the whole song. Just these snippets.
Ever may hold.
No! Stop it! It's just.
But Sean the Badman pulls it off.
Yeah. And you can see why, can't you? Because it's just got that little loop, and because he repeats it like 3 or 4 times on the trot, it's like it's in there now. You let me get a pen and see if I can get it out of my ear.
Get an earbud and shove it all the way through.
Horrendous, absolutely horrendous.
It's probably you're in touch. Yeah, exactly. I think my spirit animal is a beached whale that just lies there in the bath. What's that? You want me to play the next track? But I found this really strange on the first day because David Sylvian is not playful. He's gravely serious. And all of a sudden we get this. So he hears a poem. Can't remember who by. I forgot to put it in my notes. He hears a poem.
Angie Bowie.
No, it wasn't Angie Bowie. He hears a piece of classical poetry, and it talks about this Birdman, and it mentions the character Jean. So he goes away, and of course, you and I hear that, and we go, that's a nice piece of poetry. Songwriters go, "Heaven may hold you, but Jean the Birdman pulls it off," and writes a song. So this is very playful, very out of character. Come on, Adam, join in.
This is very unlike him because he's such a miserable sod normally, and this is really
fun.
upbeat and boppy almost, isn't it?
Yeah, you could have a little dance about to that. I've just realised we need to crack on at pace.
I was just looking at the list of tracks to come. Yeah. Okay, so we've I think we've agreed that that's playful and fun and really annoying because it gets stuck in your head and you can't get it out again.
Yeah, absolutely, big time. Next track is a King Crimson tribute album.
Amazing guitar solos in this.
Unbelievable,
amazing.
Another one you have to do. Yeah, beautiful. A bit more proggy, deep.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, again, it's a difficult. It's obviously a song about caged anger, but I mean, I must be honest and say that the opening lines, "He beats the door and breaks his watch, raids the fridge and eats the lock," it's actually quite funny almost, isn't it?
Yeah, which is so unlike your man.
Yeah.
Here we go. A little bit obscure. I do like this little bit when they lead into the now. I love a bit of musical complexity where the instrumentalists branch off and then they'll hook it all back into the next verse. I think that's beautifully done.
Yeah.
Very good. The next one, completely different. This is one of my favourite songs of all time. Damn You If You Damn This. And anyway, Adam Gray. David on his own. With a Rhodes piano.
Just him, was it?
Just him. That needs a damn good tune. So this is him laid bare, spotlight, band chilling out, and just David and a packed Royal Concert Hall in Glasgow, or Albert Hall in London.
When you say the band chilling out, do you mean the band chilling out, or do you mean the band chilling out?
Robert Fripp put himself on standby, so he just went.
Yeah,
this is beautiful. We don't have time to go through it all here, but if you do like this album, if you do listen to it, this is just gorgeous.
These are only words. Now I've only words.
He lays himself bare in a little, almost like a little solo, just a cappella, because he's just touched a little bit with some sort of keyboard backing. Just conscious of time, we're going to crack on. Now we get a little treat.
We do indeed.
One of your favourite albums was Gone to Earth by David Sylvian.
Yeah.
And one of mine as well. Taking the Veil, remember all that? Taking the Veil. Currently in the kitchen, staying away from Sharp. If David's alone. Yeah, absolutely. Quite right too. Don't. If you're in the bathroom, don't take the toaster in on the radio. Yeah, absolutely. So, Gone to Earth had quite an abstract song. The title song, Gone to Earth, was quite abstract. I love it. I love the original version. And we love the fact that they'd done a previous Sylvian. They do a more funky, softer version of the original, but they allow the guitarists to just open up and do their own thing.
Yeah.
Throw you up against the wall. Bind your hands with string. Caught in the sudden shower, a host of heavenly kings. There are victims of circumstance, the ancient bells that bring all the fear in the world.
So the version on the album, Gone to Earth, is a bit more spiky, a bit more abstract. This one, they've made it a little bit sort of funky and sort
a little bit more boppy.
Absolutely. Then we're into 20th Century Dreaming, a Shaman song.
Yeah, this didn't affect me at all, really.
Right. Very King Crimson. I mean, this is so King Crimson, it's ridiculous. Could be on Thrack. It's very complicated to keep up with that as a singer. No, strange song. And all the way through this, David never said a word to the crowd. Not a word. Not good evening, not good night, not thank you for your support through the years. Could have actually walked down and taken the mic and said some things. No, thank you.
Yeah,
Done.
You see, I it's funny, isn't it? Because if you just want to listen to the music, you can buy the record. Actually, part of what you want when you go to a concert is to hear the raconteur, the person talking to the audience. This was triggered by a really funny thing that happened to me when I was a kid.
Totally.
That's what you want to hear. You want to hear the story behind it. And you want to say, as I was traveling up here from the airport yesterday, I've not been to Glasgow for years, and it was really interesting to see how it had changed. And I love this and that. And if that's removed from the concert, it's little incentive to go and buy another ticket, really, as far as I'm concerned.
Totally. You'd be as well you could have just gone there, spotted them coming on, close your eyes, and just put blinders on and just listened, because they all sat fairly still. There's no dancing about. Wasn't particularly entertaining. And then Wave from Gone to Earth. Yeah. It's a beautiful song from the album Gone to Earth. Check it out. It's a topper. The one
great album, isn't it? Great album.
Wonderful. The one problem I have with this version, it's almost faultless, but Robert Fripp, if you know the song, Robert Fripp makes a howling fingerboard mistake in the solo. A howler.
Oh, right. I didn't
See if we
spot
can-
it.
Let's see if we can pick it up. That's actually, this bit's Trey Gunn on the Chapman stick. There. It's the wrong note. It's the wrong note. I'm getting a little note
He's
that one of our,
entitled to play a wrong note.
yeah, every now and then get one wrong. I'm getting a little note that one of our streams has a bit of an issue. I'm not quite sure what it is, but we're enjoying ourselves anyway.
Indeed.
Yeah.
We'll do a Sylvian. Screw the audience. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Then we're on to, I think this is one of yours, isn't it? Riverman.
My favourite Sylvian song ever by a mile. Just
It's
wonderful.
epic.
And you know, it's not often for me where a reworking of a song resonates as much as the original. And this is one of those occasions. This was brilliant.
It's flaming awesome, isn't it? Oh. Till I reach the water. Epic and beautifully done.
Yeah, outstanding.
See your eyes light up like fire. It's medicine to me. But as the hunted live their lives, you're keeping out of free.
Take it on a little bit.
That's where the thunder and the
I honestly think that might be one of the best songs he ever wrote.
Undoubtedly.
Undoubtedly, yeah. It might be one of the best songs he ever wrote. It's fantastic. Performed brilliantly on this album. They did it great live. It's great on the Gone to Earth album, right? Then we've got The Blinding Light of Heaven, which is back to the first day.
Now, this reminded me quite a lot of when we did the Raconteurs album. That same kind of slightly grungy sort of. Very different.
Yeah. I love this song. It's playful for him again. And I think he left something after this tour. He left his playful side.
She speaks of everything she sees. How many she's in the blinding light of fires, nothing blows. Now she stands before me, opening the buttons of a coat. I find myself wrapped in an open arms.
Yeah, as I'm listening to this again, and I've listened to this countless times over the last fortnight, it's kind of, you every time you listen, you discover something else.
Yeah.
And I think that perhaps his pomposity and seriousness is a facade. And I think that what's happening here is he's doing something, he's realizing he's having a bit of fun doing it, and then he thinks to himself, actually, I can't be having a bit of fun doing this because this is not about fun, this is about art. So actually I'm going to now become more serious again, and we're going to lose some of that joyfulness of this. He's not a man with a lot of joy, is he? Let's be honest.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, and I don't think for a second, even though it's a bit of a facade, I don't think for a second he gets into the dressing room and becomes Timmy Mallet. Hey, have a good one.
Itsy bitsy teeny weeny.
God, dude, David, you're on in 5. So this unfolds into a big prog rock, and then, interestingly, he puts the first track of the album. That's kind of this is what the tour's about. The first day, right at the very end. Sorry.
Before you play that, I was just going to pull up Andrew's comment here. Even better when it's the original artist doing the reimagining. I actually completely disagree with that.
Okay.
In this instance, I think the reimagining is a perfectly acceptable thing. But I think that artists have a duty to maintain their songs that you know them for in formaldehyde so that they don't deteriorate. So the best example of this was I went and saw the Police when they reformed 12 years ago or so. And it was absolutely outstanding because they dressed and performed the songs exactly like they had in the 80s. So, Sting was wearing parachute pants and a vest. Andy Summers was wearing a stripy jacket and a T-shirt, and Stuart Copeland was in a shell suit. And they went out and they performed all of the songs that you wanted to hear, performed them exactly like they had when you bought the records. And part of what they're playing with, it's like when you listen to I don't know, Brilliant Trees, it's actually not the music you're listening to. It's the effect the music had on you when you were 15.
Yep.
And I think that when artists mess with that because they say, well, I've grown and, I want to do, yeah, you have, but I haven't. And part of the reason that song is so special to me is because I remember that was my first kiss, or when I first got done for speeding.
You listened to that song when you were 39?
Yeah, well, I'm not 39 yet, but I will do. But do you know what I mean? And I think
I do. Duran Duran at Inverness, Planet Earth, Girls on Film, Ordinary World, The Reflex,
just like
Hungry Like the Wolf, perfect.
Yeah. And
right,
that's what you paid £200 a ticket to go and see. You didn't hear £200 a ticket to see a bunch of middle-aged men come out and do a slowed down version of what it was. That
Hey, do you guys like Planet Earth? We're going to do it acoustically in E minor.
Yeah.
So this is the last song of the album. Again, it's stripped down. The artists are behind very subtle music. I think this is gorgeous. I think this is untouchable. His voice. Oh, where did the voice go, David? So I said last week, or a couple of weeks ago, that I'd like one of these songs played at my funeral, and this is it.
Right.
Bring out the stars and fade to silence.
Just indulge me for a minute or two, will you? I'm going to get a bit.
Let the heart decide on what you grew. Ring out the bells, trading in blindness.
I want everyone there roaring and crying.
Touched by wind.
I'm joking.
Shadow falling, water fills the room, bathed in moon gray blue. Baby came and spoke a name with promises to call again. Swimming gold in a blackened sea, she troubles me.
Now the curtains can open.
She troubles me.
Hi, everyone. It's just gorgeous. Rolls over me. My best friend had the Prodigy Firestarter played at his funeral when his coffin was committed. Oh, crikey. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. That was Damage by Sylvian and Fripp. Not everyone's cup of tea. Special album for me. But we gave it a bloody good going over all the same. We were respectful to it, which is nice. That was my. I've been a bit unsettled with Adam's shorter goatee. You two are morphing into one another.
Yeah, well, Eric is my role model.
Put your head. Put your head right to the middle. I'll come forward a bit. Come forward a bit. Yeah, do a half and half. There you go. That's my half. Down a bit. Back a bit. Back a bit. Back a bit.
It's all back to front, isn't it? So it's.
So that was it. That was it.
Yeah.
I hope some people got something out of it. There's some cracking tracks on here. The first day, the album, the majority of the stuff's from is excellent. Gone to Earth, where he takes some of the tracks from, is great. And of course, check out Rain Tree Crow. That song, Every Color You Are, is a collection of, I don't know if you've heard the Rain Tree Crow album, have you?
No.
I think you'd love it. Japan Grown Up.
Okay.
Masterful. And then
I've already made a note to listen to Michael Brook, Cobalt Blue.
Oh, you'll love it. It's just him and a guitar. It's just, he walked out. He's invented a lot of electronics, so he does a lot of looping, but not in the Ed Sheeran annoying way. And he just came out with a beat up Stratocaster.
More like a KT Tunstall kind of skillful way.
Exactly. Actually, yeah, stunning piece of music. Just, you get lost in them. He's got a Tokai Stratocaster copy, which is all modified and stuff like that. And he comes out very self-deprecating. Hi, I'm from Canada. I'm Michael. You wouldn't have heard of me. And then starts on this. What he does is, which is quite interesting, he's got a big wardrobe rack of electronics behind him, just tall, about 8 feet tall. And there's an inlet here, and he takes his cable and he plugs it in, and just starts. Ah, wow, amazing. So yeah, couple of as Simon Wells would say, double compound
And
music.
factoids.
The triple compound factoid is in there. Absolutely.
And I must say that this is actually, that's not fair. It's kind of it's there.
It's a 2 o'clock.
It's above. It's above average. I did enjoy it, but
Just not your favourite.
No.
Well, on that bombshell, where are you going to take us next week?
Okay, so
Right. He's got a little smirk.
I've been giving this a bit of thought. So Sylvian and Fripp take themselves quite seriously. It's quite serious music.
It's Timmy Mallet, isn't it?
It isn't Timmy Mallet, but it's not a million miles away, actually. This next act probably wouldn't be described in that way. Formed in 1966.
66?
From 1970 to 1975, the biggest act in the world.
To 75? The biggest act in the world?
Yeah.
Right.
Famous for staying when they were in LA at the Hyatt in Sunset Boulevard, which was known, as a result of their behavior, was known as the Riot House, the hotel. I've got a really funny story about this, actually. They used to smash up their hotel rooms, throwing TVs out of the window. The Baron Knights, not a bad idea. Used to throw TVs out of the window, and they were leaving, signing off the bill for the damage they did. And the hotel manager looked really pissed off. And they're like, "What are you pissed off about?" And he said, they said, "We pay for all the damage." And he said, "Yeah, it's not about that. I want to smash up a hotel room as well. I've never done it." And they said to him, "Okay, fill your boots, mate. You've got 15 minutes and then just send us the bill." So off he went, and he smashed up a room in his own hotel because he'd always wanted to do it.
Did they have a particularly raucous drummer?
They did have a particularly raucous drummer.
Did they have a guitar player who liked to put his guitars through the amps occasionally? And one famous recorded scene actually blew up the studio.
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
Well, maybe. I'm not familiar with that story. This particular album from 1971 doesn't have a name, but it's given a name. Like the Wedding album. It's not actually called the Wedding album, but it's because of the photo on the front. This doesn't have, and we have had somebody has guessed the band.
Oh. I'm having a look back in the chat. So we've had the Baron Knights. Don't think it's them. Beach Boys. I don't think it's them. I was going to go with the Who.
It isn't the Who.
So it's Led Zeppelin.
It is Led Zeppelin.
Oh,
Led Zeppelin 4, their
Led Zeppelin 4.
finest album, containing containing just some of the best songs of that era. Now you know me. One of the things that I love is acts that exemplify a particular genre of music, and you know this has got the rocky songs like Rock and Roll and Black Dog on it. It's got Going to California and When the Levee Breaks. You know, a absolute master. It's also got Stairway to Heaven on it, which I can't bear, but
I think it's great. I think it's I've always liked it. I don't know why everyone freaks out.
Yeah, it's an anthem, but not one of my favorites. But as an album, as a complete work, I think this is outstanding. And let's see where we go. Let's see where we go, because I acknowledge that you know sometimes this stuff is an acquired taste, and I love them. But
it's phenomenal. Yeah, absolutely terrific. I'm thrilled by that. Led Zeppelin are huge in this house. One of Mrs. Doyle's favorites as well. I'd do any of them. I'd do any of them. Kashmir. What's the one? Doodly doodly doo, doodly doodly doo, doodly doo doo doodly doo, doodly doodly doo doodly doo. What is that one called? It's driving me nuts. It's driving me nuts. Does anyone know the one that I'm talking about? Doodly doodly doo.
Yeah, absolutely right, Andrew. I don't know from that rendition. You know, I'll get that tune in too. I won't get that tune in 2 years. I don't think, mate.
This is you know, I had COVID recently. I'm now thankfully COVID negative, but what it does to your head is absolutely unbelievable in terms of your memory. If anybody who's had COVID recently or has it now, your memory's just shot to hell. Sorry,
who are you?
I'm Tim Hughes.
Timmy
Mallet, yeah, absolutely. I'm thrilled by that. That's a classic. What's not to like? Let's everyone listen to Led Zeppelin 4 and bring all your comments and chats and questions and perspectives to the show next week.
Yeah, bro. So thank you all incredibly for joining us today. It's been a blast. Hopefully there'll be fewer little glitchy bits next week. Have a lovely weekend, everybody.